Hello everyone, with Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Wednesday evening, May 15, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I really appreciate the fact that you got my video from yesterday up to 100 likes, and I'd appreciate it if you do the same for today's video. If you don't know by now, the more persons like this video, the more the YouTube algorithm is going to push the video out to some more weather lovers just like you guys. So we're trying to build this weather community, and it would be great if you also share this video with your friends, your relatives, even your church brethren, and subscribe and tap that notification bell if you haven't yet done so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down below letting me know what the weather's been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any other related question that you might have about the future weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at this post from Eric Webb. He's another one of those persons on Twitter. If you haven't yet been following him, you need to do so. He is a government meteorologist, a part of the Weather Industrial Complex, that's the National Weather Service in the United States. And from time to time, he makes posts about the hurricane season that are very much accurate. He states here that the Copernicus Climate Change Service, that's the C3S, and National Multi-Model Ensemble (NMME) climate model ensembles are forecasting a near repeat of 2020 this summer. And remember how active 2020 was in terms of rainfall as well as the amount of hurricanes that affected especially the Caribbean. He also highlighted with a warm or wet tropical Atlantic, La Nina, strong Indian monsoon, and very anemic southwest US monsoon. So we can actually see the maps that he posted from July to September 2020, and he's posting something similar here, July to September 2024, and we see all the greens that represent way above normal rainfall across sections of the Atlantic basin, stretching all the way from the Mediterranean region into the Caribbean right there. Even another picture right here that he posted showing something similar with the NMME model. So it's basically shaping up to be quite a wet year, and we know all of the systems that come off of Africa could become tropical depressions or even tropical storms. He also posted this highlighting the fact that the latest C3S summer forecast for the southwest US is absolutely brutal. Looks like 2020 but possible worse. So he was showing basically across sections of the southwestern United States that it could be drier than normal, but we're not going to be focusing on the US. We're going to be focusing more right here at the edge of this map. Look at these dark shades of greens that represent way above normal rainfall across the Caribbean, and Jamaica is right here. We can draw this arrow properly. So we're smack dab in the middle of this, and this is valid for July, August, and September 2024. So it's quite concerning that we're gonna be receiving so much rainfall. Although we really need the rainfall, we don't want too much. We don't want the flooding, we don't want the land slippages, we don't want the loss of life at all. So we know we have to take necessary precautions. If you come upon flooded roadways, I'm saying it from now, turn around, don't drown. The flood is definitely coming this year. Alright, so let us take a look at what the US National Hurricane Center is showing on their 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. We see that there's nothing being shown right here. This was recently updated at 7:21 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on today's date. So they're actually starting to make some updates again. I think the last update that they made about the Atlantic was sometime in March or April, when there was something out in the Atlantic, if you guys remember. But they're definitely highlighting the fact that the Eastern Pacific is underway. They have posted a code orange right here to the south of Mexico, highlighting an area of low pressure that is forecast to gradually develop over the next several days as it pushes off towards the west or to the west and northwest. So it should be missing Mexico, which is a good thing, even although some areas might need a rainfall, because if you don't know by now, there's definitely some crazy wildfires going on across sections of Central America. Lots of smoke. It is crazy out there. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see that they are being affected still by the numerous troughs and frontal systems right there across section of the southeastern United States. You can also see the tail end of another cold front stretching all the way from northern section of North Atlantic all the way down into a portion of the northeastern Caribbean where a trough has been induced. And we can see that the entire Atlantic basin is still being dominated by ridges of high pressure that we know are responsible for sending all of those easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can actually see the clouds associated with troughs and the frontal systems that are definitely plaguing sections of the United States, the eastern US right here, and even Florida, definitely getting in on some overcast skies, showers and thunderstorms today, and it's still persisting as we speak. You can also see the clouds associated with that cold front attached to the trough right here to the northeast of the Caribbean, stretching all the way up into the northern section of North Atlantic. We can also see the low-level flow of clouds being pushed from east to west across the Caribbean, all courtesy of that easterly flow brought about by the ridge of high pressure. And if we look even closely, we can see the high cold cloud tops being blown off by the upper level wind shear, pushing in from the southwest, more so across the main development region, pushing more from the west across the western Caribbean. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Wednesday, May 15. It was stated that we would continue to receive windy and dry weather across Jamaica with the heat persisting. And what ended up happening? If we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can see that for the most part it was a sunny day. We had some clouds here and there, but nothing too significant, just some partly cloudy skies, especially across maybe sections of Hanover and maybe even sections of St. Mary right there. If we take a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we have 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 27 degrees Celsius in Kingston. And by about 4 a.m. on Thursday, temperature should dip down to about 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is actually showing about 18Z on Thursday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Thursday when calculated. And we see Jamaica right here, still embedded in some amount of orange colors that we can see by the key on the right, that represent anywhere from 1 to up to even 4 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. And what are the normal temperatures for the month of May across Jamaica? About the same as 89 degrees Fahrenheit. And when we take a look at the thermometer, 89 degrees Fahrenheit, which is right here, is about the same as 31 degrees Celsius. So if we should be receiving up to 4 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures for Thursday, it should be anywhere from 31 to 35 degrees Celsius at most. Taking a look at the dry air map, we can still see that we have some amount of dry air plaguing the Jamaica area right here. There are some breaks in there. We can see some blues that represent some moist air. You know, the dry air is represented by what we see on the key on the bottom, the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. And we do see that Jamaica is still getting in on some dry air, but we have some breaks within there, just as we said. As relates to the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Thursday, we are pleased to announce that the Saharan dust is definitely dwindling across the Caribbean. We don't see those tremendous brown colors, those darker shades of browns that we know indicate some vigorous plumes in terms of the Saharan dust that can cause hazy skies and trigger respiratory illnesses in some people. Jamaica is right here under the word port, that stands for Port-au-Prince, Haiti, the capital of Haiti. And we're starting to get in back on that clear sky activity, even although we see the dust right here stretching all the way from Africa across the main development region, and we know all of this could be pushing westward. Hopefully the same thing happens to it. It starts to dissipate and dwindle as the more west it goes. Keep in mind that this map is valid for 2 p.m. on Thursday, by the way. As it relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are in consensus that we're going to be receiving those lighter shades of blues on the north coast and those darker shades of blues on the east, west, and south coast. We know the lighter shades of blues represent anywhere from 0.5 meter wave heights While the darker shades of blues represent wave heights for up to 1 to 1.5 meter. So it makes sense considering that the winds are definitely going to be strongest, especially on the south coast, where it seems to be coming more from an east southeasterly direction, and with the blues more so on the north coast of the island. We know the blues represent anywhere from 0 to 5 to even 10 knot winds, as we can see by the key on the bottom right, while the brighter greens represent anywhere from 10 to 15, maybe even gusting to 20 knots in some spots. Alright, so let us take a look at the upper level winds. The upper level winds, just like what we saw earlier on the other satellite image, still coming in from the west for the most part. Let's go back to what I'm actually referring to. So this visible satellite image right here. So we saw these high level clouds being pushed off from west to east by the upper level wind shear. That's what we're talking about. So if by chance we get some daytime heating showers, some afternoon rainfall across the island tomorrow, the winds are still gonna be blowing off towards the east, the upper level winds that is. So whatever thunderstorm activity, if we have any, taking place during the afternoon across Jamaica on Thursday, the high cold cloud tops are definitely going to be blown off towards that direction. But what about the rainfall forecast? Where are we going to be receiving rainfall on Thursday? Are we going to receive rainfall? Actually, both the Euro and the GFS models are showing some blues that represent some isolated pockets of rainfall. What time is this, by the way? This is about 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's actually 2 p.m. Jamaica time. And we do see some dots of blues here and there across maybe sections of some central and western parishes. That's just the Euro model. What does the GFS show in terms of consensus? We do see some dots of blues right here on the north, right there on the border of Trelawney and St. Anne, as well as right there across sections of maybe northwestern St. Elizabeth, eastern Westmount, southeastern Hanover, southern St. James. We'll see exactly what unfolds with that, and I'll definitely be keeping you posted. So we have some kind of consensus that some blues that represent rainfall is going to be affecting sections of the island tomorrow. We'll see about that, and I'll tell you how it actually goes in tomorrow's video. Clearly, the accumulated precipitation forecast maps didn't get the memo. The Euro showing some rainfall right there across the west and across the northeast. GFS not so much. So it's not a good sign. We don't see the agreement, we don't see the consensus. Either way, we usually receive up to what? 213 millimeters of rainfall during the month of May. That's our secondary rainy season. And so far, with the rainfall that we got in early May, it's not so bad. But right now, it's quite dry as a bone. But we'll see. It's possible that it could definitely pick up back as we wrap up the month of May in terms of rainfall, even as we go into the month of June. So we just have to keep our fingers crossed that we get some rainfall to put some kind of a dent in the drought that we're currently experiencing. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, yes, we have some amount of clouds associated with the troughs and the frontal system, bringing some amount of rainfall to sections of Florida, section of the Bahamas getting in on the action as well. Not to mention section of Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia as usual, section of southern Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana getting in on the action as well. And we do see some isolated pockets of clouds here and there across sections of the eastern Caribbean. And we're going to be closing in some more on the eastern Caribbean in terms of the Doppler radar images. We know Doppler radar images show the actual rainfall as opposed to satellite images that can show cloud cover, and we can have cloud cover around here and not necessarily rainfall. So we're going to be running these images from about, let's say, 1:55 p.m. today, and we saw that we definitely had some isolated showers right there across sections of southwestern Puerto Rico during the afternoon. You can also see some green that represent some light to moderate heat or mist showers right there near sections of St. Kitts and Nevis, section of Antigua and Barbuda. Guadeloupe might have gotten on some of the action as well. And if we actually stop these images right here, we can see that they are still getting in on some amount of rainfall as we speak across sections of St. Kitts and Nevis, section of Antigua and Barbuda, section of Guadeloupe might be getting in on the mix as well. As we take a look at the Barbados radar, we can see some amount of rainfall right there as represented by the greens to the north of Barbados, pushing more so towards the west or slightly south of west, maybe west southwest. So maybe to affect section of Martinique, section of St. Lucia getting in on the action, definitely. You don't see much taking place across section of St. Vincent and the Grenadines or Tobago at all. As it relates to the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can actually see that rainfall associated with the frontal system still affecting sections of the Bahamas and Florida. Definitely some more to come. It's definitely right there to the west of Florida, about to be pushed inward. We can also see some amount of rainfall if we look southward across sections of Colombia, just like what we saw in the visible satellite images just now. Not to mention some amount of rainfall across sections of French Guiana, as we can see there. Let us take a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map from the GFS is actually showing 18Z on Thursday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Thursday, and we do see that we're gonna be receiving the above normal temperature still plaguing the entire Atlantic basin, the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the temperatures increasing the more west we go into the Gulf of Mexico, section of Central America, as we can see by the key on the right. We don't want to see all of these reds and blacks at all. So that's some tremendous temperatures right there. As it relates to the Saharan dust forecast, this map is showing 2 p.m. on Thursday, and we can actually see that the Saharan dust is dwindling across the Caribbean. We're seeing more so in the way of beige colors, those lighter shades of browns. So we're not going to be getting on that vigorous hazy skies. The vigorous hazy skies is usually accompanied by what we see right here across the mid-development region, those darker shades of browns that we know can cause respiratory illnesses in some people. And we're indeed glad that for majority of the Caribbean, the Saharan dust is starting to dwindle. As it relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, this map from the Euro and this map from GFS are both showing that for the most part, the Caribbean should be receiving those lighter shades of blues to darker shades of blues that we can see by the key on the bottom right. That represents anywhere from 0.54 meter wave heights to 1.5 meter wave heights. And that's because the winds are not going to be that strong at all. This map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing that we're going to be receiving a mixture of those bluish greens, those brighter shades of greens as well. Even some yellows in there that represent up to 25 knot winds, while the bluish greens to lighter to brighter shades of greens should be representing anywhere from 5 to 10 to even 15, maybe even gusting to 20 knots. And we can see the general direction for these winds coming out of the east, from the eastern to the central Caribbean, coming in from the southeast across the western Caribbean into the Gulf of Mexico. As it relates to the rainfall forecast now, so this is the meat of the matter. This is why we're here. So we're looking for the consensus of where the rainfall is expected. And where do we see the consensus in terms of the rainfall? We actually see it right here, especially where we see those reds, as we can see by the key on the right. You know, the reds represent up to 1 inch of rainfall or more. Those purples representing up to 3 or even 4 inches of rainfall. And we can see that sections of southern Central America are definitely going to be getting on the action. So sections of Nicaragua, El Salvador, section of Guatemala getting in on the action as well. Sections of Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, sections of Venezuela, sections of Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana getting in on the mix. But we do see those lighter shades of greens that represent somewhat of isolated showers. And the showers are already plaguing section of the eastern Caribbean, just like what we saw in the Doppler radar images just now. So there's definitely more in store for sections of Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, sections of St. Lucia, Martinique, Dominica, Guadeloupe, Antigua and Barbuda that we just saw getting in on some amount of rainfall. We might get in on some more rainfall across especially sections of central and western or southwestern Puerto Rico, not to mention sections of Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and portions of Cuba. And we know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.